Good day, everybody, and welcome to Primetime Booty Time with Mr. Booty. As I just mentioned, my co-host Kimmy deleted his nation out of the blue, and so he's not going to be on again. The good news is we have a couple of guests that I'm really excited about. We have Charlie, who I just made a diss track about, and I'm going to play that live on air. Yes, I know that I'm starting the show 2 minutes late. Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's also night. Anyway, so I'm a moron. We've already established that. And yeah, the plan is to basically, I'm obviously recording this show and I'm going to send it to as many people in game as I can. The idea is that this is going to kind of be a flagship. So if you're in the comments, try to get me to say your name because you might become famous. The sun literally set 15 minutes ago. You guys definitely don't live where I live. It is light as a motherfucker here. Anyway, yeah, let's get started. Any news? There isn't really any big news. I just read that Canadian physicians were sterilizing Indigenous women as recently as 2017. Just pretty fucked. And so yeah, that's the news for the day. Anyway, so I'm gonna pull on the first. I don't even think I need to pull him on. He's already in the chat. Charlie, are you there?
I am here.
Sweet.
I am here.
Do you have any last words before I totally destroy you?
In the famous words of Freddie Mercury, I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride my bike. That's all I have to say.
Hey, those are some weird last words. Here is the whatchamacallit.
He was complaining about the everyone.
Yeah. This song is called "The Soup Is Not Hot." Charlie, your career's done. Platinum Records. Mr. Booty. Yup. Traveler's Mother is a Thought. Did you guys not hear that?
What? Why'd you? No, it was just Kishwe.
I thought you were implying that nobody could hear it. Son of a bitch. I'll start playing it again. Fuck. I'm sorry, everybody. It was a really good video, though, so you can't be too upset. All right, so everybody unmute rhythm. Charlie, dude, you totally destroyed my flow. I cannot... Yeah. This song is called "The Soup Is Not Hot." Charlie, your career's done. Platinum Records. Mr. Booty. Yup. Traveler's Mother is a Thought. Yup. You're a cheater who uses a bot. Yup. If you attack me, you will get caught. Okay, yup. I am always on top. I didn't even have to drink to make this rap. Lick a mama's booty, I'ma make you clap. You wrote a couple rhymes, so if they was whack. I'm a rapper, secret agent, men in black. Yup, I do it. Wine, slang, bank, don't strew it. My raps are a potion, and now it's time to brew it. Bullshit babbler, husker, haggler. You should know your career is mine. My rap's so good, my rap's sublime. I can wank and spank in any place. Compared to me, you is a disgrace. Murder investigators say this is a sad case. You're like dubstep without any bass. Yup. J-Kel, you ain't Adele. Don't fuck with me, boy. I'll ring your bell. You always get struck out, and it's easy to tell. My jump shots are wet, just like a well. The only talent you have is the ability to fail. When the police put you in jail, I won't pay your bail. Oh, hey, Kev, I haven't forgotten about you. You're probably listening to this as you poo. We'll put the shit on the toilet, man, not on the air. Opinion so bad that I pull out my hair. Just kidding. I like your thoughts. Please respond to my messages, though. I'm getting distraught. Anyway, let's get back to the dissing. My rap's so fire, my rap's hissing. Y'all's hype has gone missing. I am sick of this pissing. I'm gonna destroy another player now. Get ready. Kegos, oh, I thought you were my bro. Then you deleted me on Facebook and didn't come on my show. That's why I'm including you in this diss track, how? You're the Aussie version of Republican. Your alliance history is a trash bin. If we go to war, you will not win. Your plans have no oxygen. Now let's get back to Charlie, who does nothing like Barley. At least Barley makes beer. Charlie makes me shed a tear. His songs are so bad, I'm yelling, oh dear. His songs inspire fear, but not cause he's scary. He misses every shot. Unlike Rick Barry, you're from Georgia. My mama drives a Porsche. Your mama drives a Ford. You make your friends bored. Yup. That's about all I have. No, course, man. No, I don't fuck with that. If there's a best rapper crown, I am wearing the hat. Y'all fake rappers fly away like you was a bat. Mr. Booty out. Don't you dare talk smack.
Yo. Bro, I'm already working on the clap back here.
You oh yeah, sorry, I muted myself for a second. You're already working on the clapback. Like, is it
Already.
possible to recover? Is it possible to recover from that?
We'll see. We'll have to see. Maybe we can. We'll throw it on the forum with like a little poll or something, and
Oh,
see what the
that's a
people
really
think.
good idea. Wow, if only
Hell
we had
yeah.
good
Thanks,
ideas, you
Kishui.
probably wouldn't have gotten dissed like
Dude, what's that?
that. You had the good ideas like that all the time. You probably wouldn't have gotten
generally have I generally have pretty great ideas. It's just the people who lack vision, such as yourself, who try to hold me back. But you know, it's okay. I don't hold it against you. It's
Oh
not.
yeah,
It's not your fault that you're genetically deficient in the
genetically.
creativity department.
Thanks, Hitler. Vision, genetically deficient. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, and so fun fact, everybody. I had 5 guests I was going to have, and 3 of them have just been like, haha, I'm not going to come on. And so Charlie, thank you. Elijah Mikaelson, thank you too. But that's something that Charlie told me. He's actually been super nice and helping me like make the show. He's like, dude, like always have 4 backups because like everybody will flake like crazy. And to be fair, it's an online game. So, I mean, you can't be too pissed.
Yeah, people have lives. People, they'll forget or they'll get busy doing something else. You know, this is probably like the least real of their obligations. You know, so it's always good to have fallbacks. You can always come to.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, man, I'm not quite at the great job with Kevin Charlie level yet. But you know,
that's all right. That's all right. Yeah.
But moving on to P&W stuff, how is the soup? Is like obviously you're not obviously you are a leader of one of the Cursed Chog alliances. I think that so what I said is that I think that the other side is going to be disappointed because like I lost all my infra and I'm a whale, and yet I still have done more damage in infra than I've taken, and overall my damage is still way positive. And so I really I've been harping on this for a while. I really think that people don't understand like how powerful the upper tier is. That said, we are pinned. Like, I mean, they are just constantly wailing on us. They've taken down almost all of our nations. They're leaving us without airplanes. Yeah. Do you want to comment on that? Sorry, I kind of rambled.
No, you're good. Yeah, I agree. We've first off, the soup is hot. That's how the soup is doing. To answer that question. Secondly, one of my members ran the numbers today, and it was like if Coalition B stays like 2 bill net positive per day, it would take like 150 days to break even or something like that.
So he did. He did 300 divided by 2. Dang! Wow, you guys are hot.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I mean,
that makes sense. I mean, that's nuts.
You know, it's just the way. Right, that's just the way the stats fell. But I mean, you know, you've got Coalition B moving the finish line on us here. Like, well, stats don't even matter. Which, I mean, I agree to a point. Like, you know, it's representative of like what the real damage that you see from the stats is like what kind of rebuild people are going to be expecting, and that scales based on the alliance in question. So, for instance, NPO, like the damage they're taking is going to be, I mean, really any major alliance, it's going to be negligible because they just have so much cash, you know?
Yeah.
So they have so many available funds, so much available funding to rebuild. It's like, you know, it's I think what Coalition B is marking as their finish line on this one is like the opportunity cost. So the idea is to keep us pinned and outproduce us. But I mean, earlier today, I double bought planes and killed like 3,600 tanks on one guy.
Dang.
And then he bashed me for like 2 mil or something. So like that was a net win.
Yeah, for sure.
By a huge margin, you know? So it's like, you know, Borhan mentioned on his show last week that planes used to be, I mean, just the be all end all, but it seems like as that has become increasingly well known. People have found ways around it, like, you know, flashing tanks, looting, whatever the case is.
Sure.
You know, at this point, we're just minimizing our exposed resources to mitigate damage potential.
Definitely. And I mean, I think there's something to be said for the fact that like it is frustrating what they're doing. But at the same time, like I'm learning so much about fighting. Like I'm a pretty good fighter, mostly because I just messed around on the test server so much. But I made
Right.
a big mistake. I was able to rebuild fully, but then I declared wars on too many people. And so when I got declared on my army, I
Yeah.
didn't think they'd be able to take me down as fast as they did. Props to them. But I'm learning a lot, and so I feel like, I don't know, this could come back to bite them, if our
Sure.
coalition gets super good at fighting against this style of war.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, they've got, IQ has traditionally had one style of fighting, and that was to have more people than their opponents, and use planes and strategic score manipulation, which is something that everybody's doing now, and to a pretty significant effect on both sides.
Sure, for sure. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is interesting. And I guess, like, I mean, I do sympathize with newer players who they're like, look, like, you guys have been playing for years longer than us. We can't, match up against your 35 city, like,
Right.
megaloths or whatever. That I think I just made up a word. But I get that. But at the same time, like, it is kind of annoying. Like, they just pounced on me at the exact right time when I sold down. And so I don't really feel like I've gotten, like, I don't know, like the war's just been so weird. For a while, I wasn't even fighting anybody.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, with the way the tiering was set up pre-war, that was that was going to happen. They just didn't have anybody in your range, and their priorities were elsewhere. One thing that kind of bit us in the butt a little bit was some of the notorious whales on our side just not getting involved in the fight.
Just not even
just not even bothering. They're like, oh no, we're still making money. They're not gonna worry about it. Like, well, okay. I mean, you could have just down declared on 5 people and clapped them all, but okay.
Yeah. And simultaneously. I think that's one like huge weakness that Grumpy is going to have. First of all, so fun fact, everybody, I told Charlie this already. Sweet Ronnie D banned me from their fucking Discord. Like, I'm banned from the Grumpy Old Bastard Discord. I have no idea why, but I was trying to get on it today, and it was like, and I realized it wasn't on my sidebar, and I was like, what? And then I like clicked on it from their page, and it was like, sorry, you have been banned. And I was like, you wanker. It's because I posted the forum thing. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but it also doesn't make, I don't know. It's just silly because like I don't post there often, and I'm contributing to the like community. Anyway, Sweet Ronnie D was one of the guests who was supposed to be on tonight, and he was like, do 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 do, and he just kind of like flicked. I still love you, SRD. Yeah, on the first show, he was like, the reason why we're the best alliance might be because we don't have Mr. Booty. I thought he was kidding. Apparently, like, they don't even want me in their Discord.
Did he actually say that?
Yes. Yeah, you were there. It was a good line.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, man. Dude, he came on my show and was like, "You're boring as heck," and then he said that later on.
Oh, did you see that screenshot that Hughes just? Let me narrate this real quick for the listeners after the show. Belisarius, last Tuesday. Didn't SRD tell you not to spam here? Thinking face. 6 hammer reactions. SRD, Booty, what the fuck? Hate to do it, but Booty has been banned. just like that.
Thank you, Hughes. I didn't see the thing before with his warning about, like, why didn't he send me a DM? All right, well, that's understandable, though. Wait, did that get any likes?
No, nobody liked it. Nobody liked Booty's been banned.
That's good. Kill me. Anyway, so good news. One of the other people who I was going to have on as a guest just arrived. So now only 2 of the 5 guests have flaked on me.
Awesome.
I know, right? That's like a positive ratio or whatever. Yeah. So we're almost done with Senor Charlie's time. Charlie, you can like stay on. The plan is to like interview a few people separately, and then to have you guys all come in at the end and like have like a roundtable for a bit, and then obviously everybody gets unmuted after the show. But yeah, like I mean, you can say I'm not going to mute you. Fun fact: George muted me on his show to server mute, and like I can unserver mute myself. And so I was like, dude, like what are you doing? Like, why would you try to? But I didn't unserver mute myself. But yeah, my apologies to George. I tried to ask Alex a question in the middle of that show because he's had me on before, and so yes, I did deserve it, and I apologize. That was an inappropriate thing to do. I only talked for like 3 seconds, but yeah,
I didn't even hear it. So props to you guys for sorting that out.
For sure. Well, I like DM'd him and I was like, "Hey, sorry about that, man," and like he has not responded, so he's pulling the SRD with me.
No, bro, I messaged him for like a week straight, like every day, asking for the download link for one of his shows, and he just ghosted me. And then I saw him in a VC one time, and I hopped in. I was like, George, and got him to send me the link, and it had already expired.
My gosh,
so, that's what you get for ghosting people. It's not
Dude,
nice.
Yeah. That's the verse where I said, Kevin, like, please respond to my messages. I'm getting distraught. I've literally like messaged him like 10 times over the past 3 weeks, and he has not fucking responded once. And when we were in a voice chat together, he ignored me the whole time.
No, I don't think he's ignoring you.
No, I don't think he is either. But like, I mean, we were in the voice chat, and I was like, "Hey, Kev," and he was like, like he didn't respond.
Okay, he's ignoring you. You guys were in a voice chat together. You just didn't acknowledge your.
It was like a super clusterfucky voice chat, and it wasn't on his account. I think his wife was in it, but yeah. It kind of sucked.
Dude,
anyway,
so for the first time since I was a wee lad, a pubescent lad, I've gotten some sort of adware on my computer. I don't know what the fuck I did, but I just got a pop up. It says no bra, no underwear here. Celebs pics you must see.
And that's all the time we have for Charlie. Thanks for coming on the show. Anyway, my next guest is a alliance leader from. And by the way, Charlie can unmute himself at any time.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, well, a little bit. Wait, say that again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little shaky.
Frawley.
I know it's Frawley. Yeah.
I'm on my car headset. If you can wait a couple of minutes, I might be able to get onto proper headset.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great because I actually have another guest who I want to bring on first since he's living in the UK and it's the middle of the night there. And so yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So my next guest is Elijah Mikaelson. I hope I pronounced that right. Hey man, you're unmuted. So I asked him to come on the show. He is the leader of Yakuza, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And you also recently got into a big fight on the forums about your nation, specifically the fact that you've really successfully grown your nation with a mixture of Kino and Sphinx giving you loans.
Yeah. I mean, well. See, the thing that people got to understand is if you actually do your research, you'll find there's a lot of nations that are on 29, 30 cities within a year's played time. It's not a difficult task. What? It really isn't. Yeah, there's a guy in GOB, 29 cities within the first year. There's Cepha within Rose, 25 cities within 200 days. I mean, it's not. I mean. If people want to go down this road of saying, you have to have X number of cities before you get to 2,000 days old and bullshit like that, it depends on who you are, who your friends are, and what sort of benefits you have from those people. I'm pretty sure GOB paid for all those guys' cities up to 29 within a year, and I know Cepha got all his cities funded by Rose up to 25. So if I got to 30 cities within 600 and something odd days, I don't see what the big deal is. But obviously some people are poor. They're in alliances that don't care about their growth. So they get butthurt when someone overtakes them, I guess.
Yeah. I don't want to dwell too long on this, but one thing that I was thinking as I was reading that is that and you mentioned this, Sheepy's gotten a ton of reports on you. He would probably know. He's probably investigated it, and there's a reason that you're not deleted yet.
Well, I wouldn't say deleted yet. There's a reason I'm not deleted is because I don't cheat.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant. I mean, there's a reason why he hasn't.
I mean, if anyone thinks I cheat, if anyone thinks I abuse the system, report me. I really don't give a shit because I know I follow the rules, and every time I even think I come close to breaking the rules, I message Alex. I'm like, look, Alex, this is what I want to do. And I understand there's two people on my network who also play. Is this going to be a problem? And within we don't do anything until he gets back to us. And then 9 times out of 10, he gets back and be like, no, that's perfectly fine. You're all verified. You all send pictures with a script. Yeah, we follow the rules. So, I don't have any access to anyone else's account apart from my own. If people want to say that I'm a multi to make themselves feel better about their pathetic growth, then so be it. Let them.
Hey man, like watch. I have 29 cities and I'm like 5 years old. So like just don't actually don't hold back.
Clearly, you're not as econ-minded as I am. That's all I can say. Or you've been in some very terrible alliances that don't boost their members.
I've been an inactive boy for a while too.
Well, that too. That doesn't help growth.
Yeah, and I've like fought worse. But yeah, so moving on to Yakuza, which is your alliance. You guys did make waves. It was actually like this was what the thread was about, and people just drilled it because why not? But you let us know about your 900. Yeah, so you guys got out of Citadel block, right?
Yeah, we dropped Citadel, and this is the thing that made me laugh because, Ketog, Chaos, Rose, and a few others have all been like, when Citadel first formed, they're like, oh, you're holding on to BK's hand, why don't you just, go off on your own and do this and do that? And which I understand from their perspective because they want people to play the way they want to play. They're not interested in how people want to play, just they want everyone to play the way they want to play. So in that terminology, I get where they're coming from because they want quick, easy wars. They want people to have smaller blocks. Because one thing Ketog's very, very good at is the initial tag. Yeah, look at what they did to Chaos. Yeah, within the first couple of weeks, they absolutely decimated Chaos. And that's what Ketog wants. Ketog wants plenty of little alliances and little blocks that they can hit, overpower, demand reps, then leave. They don't want like this war for them is a nightmare because it's a long drawn out war and it will affect them more than it would Coalition B because Coalition B has a hell of a lot more money. So, I can understand why they want smaller blocks because it will make it easier for them in their aggressive actions. But when I dropped Citadel and I dropped BK at the same time, it was ironic that all those people that were claiming that, Yakuza and people in Citadel are just hugging onto BK, instantly, the moment we dropped them, it was no longer that issue. It was, oh, how did you get to 30 cities? It's like, if you're going to be a dick, be a dick. But be a dick for the right reasons. Don't turn around and say to people, oh, you're sticking to BK, you won't do nothing without BK. And when someone drops BK, then turn around and say, oh, you must be cheating. How fucking retarded is that? If you're going to be a dick, be a dick, but be a dick for the right reasons. Don't swap and change just because you don't like what someone's doing. And when they do something that you reckon they should do, don't jump onto something else and be a dickwad. I mean, it's just stupid. It really is.
Yeah, well, so first of all, I want to say obviously, like I'm part of the opposing coalition to you guys, and so I think it'll be interesting in a bit. As I mentioned, we're going to have a roundtable. It'll be cool to hear, because Charlie's the leader of an alliance. It'll be cool to hear kind of the back and forth between Kurchtog and Coalition B. I don't really want to like debate you right now though, because this is more of an interview. But yeah, that's a good point you had. Is that people were complaining about you guys holding on to BK, and then once you guys declared your independence, they're like, let's find another thing to.
Yeah, it's like I'm just going to touch on something that you and Charlie spoke about in your little interview with Charlie. What you guys have got to understand, and this is not from a perspective of Coalition B, this is from a perspective of anyone that's capable of taking a step back and looking at the situation. Okay, the reason the stats for well, I'm going to call him the alphabet because I'm going to try and pronounce that fucked up name. The reason that the war stats are so favorable towards Alphabet is simply because they destroyed themselves before attacking Coalition B. You can't have positive stats if you have no infrastructure to lose. Okay? So if you really wanted to look at the effect of this war, you have to be smart enough to be like, okay, we did not rebuild from Surf Ups, but we will have to rebuild after this war. So those stats still come into play because if you had rebuilt after Surf's Up, like not Rose, I know you're in Rose, but obviously Ketog and Chaos.
Yeah, everybody.
If they would have rebuilt after Surf's Up and then attacked BK, the stats will be a hell of a lot closer than what they are now. And I know Charlie said it'd be like 170 days for the stats to be even, but if you take into consideration that they fucked each other over before attacking BK and Coalition B, yeah, it's actually only 30 billion difference, which is very easily overcome. But I understand that this is the only way that the alphabet side is going to actually positively turn around and say to their own members, like, forget the world, just their own members, to keep them out high. Oh, look at the damage we've done. We're destroying them.
Only
But they
caveat is
destroyed. Pardon?
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say. I think that I agree. You're right. And that is something that I forgot to mention with Charlie. But those sides did destroy each other before the war. The only caveat is, even if you were to take away the infra damage done during Surf's Up, as you said, the Alphabet Bros would still be ahead. And I think the other thing is,
no, sorry. If I can just butt in, and I'm sorry to cut you off. They'll only be ahead because of the infrastructure. But they wouldn't have been ahead if they had the infrastructure at the beginning. Because what you have to take into consideration is at the beginning of this war, Yakuza as a Pacific Alliance, Polar, and TCW were fighting people that had 12 to 15 cities more. I was on 25 cities facing 36 and 37 city nations. If they had infrastructure, they would not have been in my range. Therefore, they wouldn't have been able to attack me. So the playing field would have been a lot even. So if they had infrastructure at the beginning of this war, no, they wouldn't have been 30 billion ahead. They're only 30 billion ahead if you take the pre-stats of Surf's Up and the stats of this one, combine them, then they're 30 billion ahead. If you would have taken them at their full strength, most of their whales would not have been in range for the people that they decimated at the beginning of this war. So the stats would not be anywhere near 30 billion difference. If anything, it would have been well in BK's side, because the whales would have had to solve that infrastructure to get down to help the mid-tier. And BK and MPO controls 20 city tier. Anything below that is basically just cat food to them. It's only the upper tier where Chaos, Keytalk, and that has the whales that can actually, and if they had that infrastructure, and infrastructure adds a lot of NS damage, a lot of the nation score. So no, if it wasn't for Surf's Up, the stats would be heavily in Coalition B's favor. But because of Surf's Up, and you add the combination of the two stats together, then yes, it would be a question of Alphabet having a better stat system, but that's only due to the circumstances. It's not due to any specific, they've done exceptionally well or anything like that. It is literally they had no infrastructure, so they could down declare by a massive amount, and that is what gave them the edge at the beginning of the war.
Yeah, to be honest, I hadn't thought of that particular point. I guess, as I said before, I think there are two caveats to that. The first is, even if they did fight against each other, the fact that, I guess, you could say, that was a really bad time for that leak to come out, because, it allowed them to attack an enemy who,
it was planned. They had that leak for months. They had that for months, and a lot of people call me a crackpot, and a lot of people tell me and say that it's a joke and stuff like that. But I guarantee you, Surf's Up was a pre-planned war before this war, because it allows them to have the stats advantage by proving that they did better. I know Charlie's laughing right now and a few others, but they had this leak months ago. So why didn't they do anything months ago? Why did they wait until they destroyed each other's infrastructure, rebuilt, before actually coming after anyone?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, Charlie, you can we'll pull you on in a sec. And then what I was gonna say is the other thing is, to be fair, people in your side did sell infra. Sphinx himself sold 3 billion worth of infra.
I sold infra. And I went from 3K infra down to what was it, 700. And the reason being is because, and it was regardless of what people say, it was a tactic, because there was no way I would be able to do anything effectively fighting people with 11 to 14 cities more than me.
At the same time,
having three nations with more than 10 cities each above me, I was getting decimated quickly. So I needed time.
That's damage that our side did to your side that isn't officially counted, and it's going from 3,700, had you not sold down, had everybody had full infra at the beginning, that would be significantly more damage that we would have done to you.
Well, and no, because if you would have had the infrastructure, you wouldn't have had that 10 city down declare. Therefore, we would have overpowered your side because of that tier that I was in. Yeah, our side, we have hundreds of nations within that tier. That is our strength. That is our safety zone, if you will. So if it wasn't for the fact that your whales had no infrastructure, they wouldn't be able to down declare. Therefore, we would have eaten those up before we worked up. So everyone would have been relatively higher. So, I started this war with 3K info. I didn't sell down at the beginning. I sold down after the initial wave, after the first 5 days. That's when I then sold down because it was ineffective for me to stay at that size. So no, whether I sold down or not wouldn't have affected the stats that much when you consider that I would have been fighting people with my own city range rather than people 10 to 15 cities more.
Yeah,
So it wouldn't have had that same effect.
I can see what you're saying, but at the same time, two things. One of them is your score peaked at 5,700 score. Like multiple grumpy nations who were bigger than you could have down declared on you with that high of a score. Like as in
not
like
prior to Surf's Up.
well, and also because Grumpy really didn't lose that much infrastructure. Like if you look at their nations, a lot of them have seemingly as much infra as they had before Surf's Up. Like their really upper tier didn't seem to be that touched. And like
and
I mean,
if you could look at Grumpy now, even if I added an extra 1,000 to my nation score, most of them wouldn't be able to down declare.
are you saying that you think that like your coalition would have immediately been able, like you wouldn't have lost that 3,000 infra because your coalition would have immediately started?
No, we would have lost it. We would have lost it. I mean, infrastructure. I mean, infra's only good for peacetime. It's only good for making money. It's absolutely irrelevant in war.
Yeah.
I mean, you can max everything out at 700 infrastructure. So
Yeah.
it's completely irrelevant for war. What I'm saying is we would have lost it, but you would have lost it too.
Yeah, for sure. But but what I'm saying is that's true. I mean, there would have been. What I'm saying though is that there is like a ton of infra, obviously, that was destroyed during Surf's Up that doesn't count for your stats that would be there if Surf's Up hadn't happened. But what I'm saying is, on the other side, your guys who sold down your infra, had you not sold down your infra, there's damage on the other side that's not being counted either. And like that infra wouldn't have been sold had you not gone to war with us. And so, for all practical purposes, Kirchtalk might as well have destroyed the infra that was sold, because
the infra that was sold doesn't account to what is it, 145 billion.
Well, that's the thing, is that it doesn't account for that. Like that's extra damage. It's not.
I mean, it may account. I would imagine for the people I know that sold down, it would have accounted for about maybe 20 billion, but it wouldn't have counted for like 150 billion. That
Frawley, oh, sorry. Frawley's like the stats guy. He made the thing. What do you think about that, Frawley? Like, how much infra do you think was sold from your side, Coalition B?
I couldn't tell you the exact amount, but what I think the point you're missing that Elijah is trying to make, and I'm not sure if you can hear me properly right now, is that I was 4K pre-war, right? Nation strength. I've been fighting in primarily the 2 to 2.5 range for the past month. If you guys were fully built at the start of the war, and our side was fully built at the start of the war, I would have been fighting nations in the range of, 5.2 or whatever it is to 3 point something, and so would 100 other MPOers. And you guys who were sitting in the 5K range would have been of similar builds to us. And instead of what happened at the start of this war, because I had all of my info for the first 3 rounds of the war. I didn't sell down until much later, and I was fighting essentially 28 plus city nations. So I was on guardian nations with the syndicate, who were difficult to destroy. They had no infrastructure. All I was basically doing was suiciding planes to get their plane counts down. So the war would have started very differently because everyone would have been tiered against the people that they are currently tiered against. So what we're in, the situation we're in right now is the situation that would have been at the start of the war. I have no infrastructure, you have no infrastructure, but we both have the same number of cities and we're now fighting.
Yeah.
Except at the start of the war, you have infrastructure, I have infrastructure, and we both have the same number of cities and we're fighting. So that's what I think Elijah is trying to say, is that the matchups would have been very different if Surf's Up hadn't happened and the league hadn't happened.
That's a good point. I think you guys are right on that, and I think that is a good point. As Charlie mentioned, though, like MPO wasn't involved at the start of the war, and so I don't know how that affects your point. But I guess what I'm saying is furthermore, I mean, my nation, like as I mentioned before, I'm a whale. I had even up to 2,800 infra in some cities, and I was fighting people with very little infra. 1,800.
Yeah, I mean,
But I'm still
people in
positive.
rows.
Well, I'm net positive when it comes
Well,
to
but
infrastructure.
are you positive in infrastructure damage because the situation of having many whales over and above, like for example, if you would have attacked my nation, along with I got hit by Jagger and Ripper right at the start. Now, if you would have hit along with those two, there would have been nothing I could have done to stop you because their air force was much greater than mine, and they absolutely ripped through my nation like there's no tomorrow, simply because of city counts. So at the beginning of the war, I would expect you to have a massive positive net damage. Now, what that coincides with is you as an individual, you could have attacked 5 nations with the support of Wales with no infrastructure, therefore giving you the ability to do that damage. You can only lose your infrastructure once, but you can destroy many nations' infrastructure. So that's why I believe you have a positive net damage, is because at the beginning of the war, you were fighting with people that had several cities more than you, helping you with nations that you were hitting. As Frawley pointed out, if you were hitting on the same par, it would have been a completely different story. I'm not saying that you wouldn't have been positive. I'm not saying that, but it wouldn't have been as easy, and you wouldn't have been able to do as much. I mean, I got decimated at the beginning of this war. I am now 1 billion positive because I have been ripping Wales down and destroying their cities left, right, and centre over the last 2 weeks, and I went from a negative of 1.2 billion to a positive of 1 billion. So
Yeah,
it's very
that's a good
easy to do.
So, but here's the other thing though. I'm looking now at the nations because like that is a really good point that you're bringing up, and like I definitely think you guys are correct. I think you're correct. I guess I'm disputing how like to what extent I think that made a difference, because the first nation I declared on without selling any of my info, this was an MPO nation right at the start of the fighting. He had 10 cities less than me, and I was able to down declare on him by 10 cities. And so like that was an MPO member who had not sold his infra, he had full infra and then I had full infra. And so I guess what I'm saying is that I think a lot more of the down declares would have happened. Less of them would have happened than happened because of Surf's Up. But even if everybody had full infra, I think there's still been a lot of down declares. And I think your side still would have suffered pretty heavy losses at the beginning.
Quite possibly, because another thing that irritated me about the start of this war is a lot of people on my side didn't militarize. They didn't prepare as well as they should have. The moment Ketog and Chaos stopped declaring wars against each other and started to build up, everyone on Coalition B should have fully maxed militarized and been ready. But we didn't. And that was our downfall. That was our fault. The same way that when Ketog fully militarized, Chaos didn't. And when Ketog hit Chaos, they suffered greatly very quickly. And we fell into the same trap. Ketog and Chaos both militarized without buying infrastructure, and most people on Coalition B side didn't. And I think that was also our fault and also our downside. Because right at the beginning we were losing to ground attacks and then being destroyed by planes because of the advantage of having ground control. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to stand here and say, oh, Coalition B would have been positive, and I don't know. It would have been a lot more of a fair fight. Damages would have been significant on both sides. I'm pretty sure that Ketog, Chaos, and Rose would have come ahead at the beginning. But I think at this stage of the war, the stats would have been so one-sided in Coalition B side because, and I'm blunt with it, it's because of the number of nations they have and the fact that they're doing full planes. Okay, so I'm not saying that they're better fighters. I'm just saying at the moment, Coalition B has a better strategy in taking at least damage possible during fighting, as well as maintaining a high damage output, simply by mass planes. And we all know planes need nerfing. We all know the war system needs fixing because at the moment it's completely messed up. But if we would have started at the same level instead of one side having info and the other didn't, then I would imagine by this stage of the war, your side would have been massively negative, and we would be having a completely different conversation.
Yeah, well, I guess yeah, okay. That's. I think you bring up a lot of really good points. And I'm gonna I need to low key I need to pee, and so I'm gonna go to commercial. But yeah, I guess the only area we disagree is I guess I agree that you're right, but I guess we disagree about how much it would have had an effect. I mean, I down declared 10 cities on one MPO guy, I down declared 9 cities on another MPO guy. To be blunt, I think that we'd still be ahead in damages, and by a fair, not by 300 billion, not by anything close to 300 billion, but by a fair amount, I guess. Yeah, before we go to commercial, any last thoughts? That's thank you, by the way, for coming on the show. I know it's 4 a.m. where you are, so.
No, it's fine. The last thought I would have is, and this goes to both sides, and I don't care if people hate me for saying it, but there's a lot of alliances on both sides that are suffering unnecessarily, that have done all they can do. And I know full well that Coalition B has tried to get some alliances peace, and I know that it was rejected, and I understand the terms are a little bit off, they're a little bit one-sided, I get that, but there's a lot of alliances that are suffering, and I think to stop unnecessary suffering of alliances that came to support allied, don't get me wrong, if your initial attack was let's say, for example, you're in Chaos or you're in Keytog or you're Rose, and you initially attacked, then you should be at the war until the end of it. But if you declared war in defense of one of those allies, and you're now at the point where you can't fight anymore, and there are a few of them, because I speak to a lot of people, I'm not going to mention them because it's unfair. Let them go, guys. I mean, you're not going to benefit your side by having 10 nations that can't fight. It is not going to make your stats any better. It's not going to bring peace any sooner. The only ones that are ever going to actually agree peace will be between BK, MPO, and the main forces of Coalition B, Keytog, Chaos, and Rose. No one else is going to be able to sway peace either way.
Sure.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, I think the argument is obviously our nations are being made miserable, and so the idea is, I'm not saying I agree with this, but the idea is we're gonna keep your micros and make them miserable too, so that your side will be pushed into peace at some point, just like our side is being pushed. Just like our nations are being.
He's talking about your micros who've asked for peace.
I'm not talking about our side. I'm talking about your side. That's your micros that have asked for peace, and your side has said no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I agree completely.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, most of the alliances I speak to on our side are more than content to fight. They haven't got an issue, but I know there's a couple of micros on your side. I mean, I have personally been spammed a few times about certain alliances we have attacked, where they're basically saying that they can't fight no more. And I'm like, well, get peace. And our side is more than welcome for them to gain peace, but I've been told that some alliances on your side are telling them that they can't have peace. Now, I mean, as much as you can be loyal to those that you're treated with, how loyal can you be before you destroy your own alliance for someone that clearly don't care enough to give you peace when you need it?
Yeah. Well, as I said, we have to go to commercial. Charlie just said he had the opposite story, which is interesting. I mean, we'll have him on in a bit, but yeah, actually, I agree with what you're saying then, that we should let our alliances have peace.
Regardless of what side, the statement still stands.
Yeah. I mean, I can see why people are I don't know, why, people don't want to get stuck holding the bag, get stuck in a 3-month-long war while everybody else is chilling. But yeah, and that's true. If you leave, rebuild, and get hit again, there's no one to protect you. That's a really good point, D Valley. Anyway, I'm going to play this ad and go hacer una urinación. Frawley, also, please get the main coalition sheets back up, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you the Orbis Portal, a place that connects you to all politics and war-related servers across the game. Alliances, banks, news stations, corporations, and artists. You'll never have to hunt down those hard-to-find server links again. Just relax and guide yourself into the oasis called Orbis portal. I'm not sure if Mr. Booty is back yet, because he had to go take a leak. Let me grab another ad real quick, and I'll check it in there.
I assume that the ad
please.
is. I ran back. How much dead time do we have?
Not long. 10 seconds.
Hey Frawley, so would you want to come on the show? Like, we can do whichever you want. Like Frawley, we can either you can come on the show and like talk for a bit, and like do a one-on-one interview thing, or we can just open it up to the like panel basically. Do you have a preference, or are you still in your car? Okay, well, I guess we'll just go ahead and open it up. Specifically, like between Charlie and Elijah, like you guys both let each other talk, which was really nice. But do you guys have any like points you want to bring up that?
Sure. One thing, while Elijah made, good points. All the stuff he was saying is legit. About like, if Surf's Up hadn't happened, this, and this. But one thing that gets brushed under the rug when discussing the hypotheticals of dial-up is if we hadn't been in Surf's Up, TKR wouldn't have just lost 390,000 planes in 3 weeks. We wouldn't. I know in Soup we had like 60% of our max planes going in. That extra 40% would have been a tremendous difference. So it's really difficult for me to agree with the notion that it would have been a totally different situation if Surf's Up hadn't happened, because we would have had way more planes. If Surf's Up hadn't happened and the leak came out, we would have just annihilated BK day one, and then the help that NPO provided later on would not have been anywhere near as significant, because there wouldn't have been enough of BK left to save. And I think that was one place we kind of fell down when NPO did enter, is we focused too much on them, assuming that we had gotten to that point that I'm describing with BK before we actually did, which let them rebuild. I think on I think it was George's show like a week or two ago. He broke down the numbers. They rebuilt like 600,000 planes on that side in a week, something like that. It's something crazy. But so the point that I'm trying to make is like it's not just a simple infra equation we're looking at. Like there are a bunch of different variables, and I think it would have been probably much the same as it is now. Maybe not at the same degree. Like Booty was saying, like there's a degree of how much change it would have actually made. I don't think it would be as one-sided stat-wise as it is, but I think that we would have done just an immense amount of damage, even more so than we did going in first strike this war. So.
Yeah. May I offer you a tip, Charlie? Don't rush it next time. Rebuild completely.
Oh yeah, that was great, except for the fact that the leak was totally organic. If we had planned this out, oh man, that would have been brilliant. That would have been so brilliant.
I actually I mean, I wasn't part of the leak. I mean, I wasn't even a part of the conversation of the frickin' plan, even though my alliance was mentioned.
Right.
So I didn't even know about it until the leak happened. Someone messaged me and said, "Oh, so you're gonna hit Key Token Chaos?" I was like, "Are we when?" And they're like, "Have you not seen the leak?" I was like,
"No." A screenshot of the leak.
You sent me a screenshot, like, "Oh, okay, I see."
I guess.
Yeah,
so.
I guess we are. Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
Thanks for letting me know. But
sure,
no, I mean,
so thrilled. Sorry. I was going to say, I'm sure you were so thrilled to have that leaked to you by Charlie.
Yeah, right.
You see, what a lot of people don't understand is me and Charlie go way back, and I have an utmost respect for Charlie.
I have no idea.
And we talk quite a lot, and yeah, I mean, I I've always been upfront with Charlie, and when he sent me the link, I told him there and then I didn't have any idea about it, and I thanked him for letting me know so I could get my alliance ready to hit him. Without him, I would have been, delayed a little bit longer than normal.
Yeah, just keeping it sporting,
But yeah, no, I mean, Charlie knows me, and a few people do. I would have never have signed off on hitting Chaos or Keytog after their rebuild. That's not the sort of player I am. The same way I wouldn't like, for example, with Nightfall, I wouldn't partake in Nightfall. That was such a one-sided beatdown that wouldn't have even been enjoyable for me. This war, I'd made it quite clear, and Charlie can attest to this. I said right at the beginning, as long as no one directly attacks BK, Citadel will take no part in this war. But yet there was a direct attack on BK, which, I mean, it's kind of stupid because I knew there would be.
Right.
But the option
As you were
was
saying
there.
that, I was like, well,
but the option was there,
I was pushing really hard for Citadel to go ahead and drop BK after that came out. He was like, I don't know how many people. This was a way back when we were in BC. Rose.
Oh, you guys were in BC together.
Yep. Rose did this thing where they just kind of signed us up for a war. Like it was Kaiser specifically. And he was like, yeah, like we're gonna go fight these guys. And we're like, whoa, where's the discussion? And he had already gone and talked to the other parties in the coalition, and it was just like, that didn't sit right with me. That was like, you want to, if you're gonna be allied to somebody, you're gonna be partners. It's not, that's the way I see it. I know, for instance, BK does it differently, treating Citadel like they're their playthings.
Sorry. If I could just jump to what Fiji posted.
Sure.
Fiji, that is partly true, but it was also partly to stop a war happening during the actual war. AK and Camelot has a very staggered history, and I personally had a problem with Camelot, but I don't really. I mean, it's incident like they think like micros, they act like micros, and sometimes that irritates me. There's no disrespect, it's just simply facts. It doesn't matter how high you are up in the alliance rankings. Some people are just micro mentality, and that's just simply the truth. My statement of waiting for them to rebuild and stuff like that was to get this war out of the way before anyone starts an internal beef that don't need to happen until after this war.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, just BTW for the people who are listening to this on recording. Fiji God posted some leaks that were posted recently in which some Citadel leaders talked about fighting Camelot.
And that screenshot is also edited and doctored. And I have already spoken to Camelot. And I've made it quite clear. Yakuza themselves has no intention of hitting Camelot. And even if we did, how many of them would actually be in our range? I mean, we're average 20 cities. I think they averaged 11, 10. Very highly unlikely that, when we spoke about this, and it was prior to the current war, Yakuza's only involvement would have been if GOG got involved. And even then, BK wouldn't have allowed it to extend to that point where you have Camelot and GOG one side, Citadel another. It just wouldn't have happened. It was posturing by two alliances for no other reason apart from posturing, really.
Okay, yeah, that is good to know, and that is interesting. I didn't know that the documents, that the leaks were doctored. So I want to so we're let's see it, 56 minutes in. Usually I like to stop recording after an hour. I feel like, honestly, you guys made it so that even the stuff at the end of the show is as good as the stuff at the beginning of the show. I feel like we could talk an hour more. So I'll let you guys have like final thoughts in a sec. I just want to brag real quick though and say that my net damages went way up. I just got like a $70 million beige. So
nice.
Officially knowing that for the record. I also got beiged a couple times, so I can rebuild a little bit.
So what you're telling me, Beauty, is you're beiging people in order to get your stats up, where we're not beiging people in order to keep you down. Thanks for the hint.
Well, except for the fact that
it's all about the stats, baby.
All about stats. We're happy losing the war just as long as we win those stats, baby.
But except I'm not doing it for the stats. I'm doing it because like we're not like the tier that I'm at. We're not going to be able to pin you regardless, and so we're just doing as much damage as possible. Yeah, there's really no point for character not to. Like I know what you're saying. Like, but to be fair, like if this person's like full planes. This person, like I mean, there's no reason not to beige them just because we're not going to.
Oh no! It is just to me. It was funny that your instant reaction was, "I just added 70 million to my stats." Not, "Oh, I just beige someone and I've messed up his nation." It's all about the stats, baby.
All about the stats.
That's fair. Yeah, it's all about the stats.
Man.
But no, I mean, if I can add a final thought before we shut the recording off, is I'm just hoping at the end of this war that people realize that there's way too much hate and discontent in this game for each other. Like, there's so many people that could have easily gotten to the peace table and could have easily resolved a lot of the issues sooner. But it's being dragged out because of pride more than anything. I mean, we can pretty much say that at the moment, due to the fact that Coalition B can keep Keitog down, regardless of what the stats say. I mean, during World War II, Germany had the stats, but they still lost. You know,
Are you comparing us to the
you may
Nazis?
have the stats. No. I'm not comparing you to Nazis. I'm comparing
Given
stats
any argument on the
information.
internet, it will eventually evolve into Nazis.
But I mean, you did start the fucking war. I mean, anyway. But no, all I'm saying is, even though you could, like, even if you claim a moral victory of saying we've got the stats, and like this argument can go back and forth until the end of time, we can turn and say, oh, you know, yeah, if you had Surfs Up, and you guys will be like, oh, but they're two different wars, and then we'll be like, oh, if you had Infra, you'd be like, oh yeah, but if we had I mean, it could be an endless circle of, you know, what ifs and what ifs. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you guys want peace, and I know you do, like, you're welcome to disagree, but I know your side want peace, and I know the only stumbling block right now, the fact that most people on your side don't want to admit defeat simply due to the stats. How long are you willing to drag your nations and your friends and your allies through this shit pile, is what I call it, before you admit that your pride isn't as important as helping your friends rebuild?
Yeah, I can't say. That's an interesting thought. I don't know. I can't say. It's hard to like it's hard to like really, because like we have done more monetary damage, but you know we are being held down. At the same time, it's not like you guys are really able to run your nations as usual. And so I don't know. I mean, that is I don't know. That I think that's a interesting point that you brought up. I can't say I necessarily agree on it, but yeah, that's an interesting question that you asked. Frawley, I'm sorry. So did you want to be interviewed? Like I could interview you for like 5 minutes.
It doesn't bother me. It's up to you. It's your show.
Hey guys, so I'm gonna I guess I'll put off the whole like unmuting everybody for a little bit. And Charlie and Elijah, yeah, if you guys like, you can cut in like if you want, but like please let Frawley have the floor.
I'm gonna talk all over Frawley. You won't be able to get a word in.
I'll mute
Frawley,
you, Charlie.
Oh, you can do that shit.
That's the show. I mean, yeah, but Frawley, you're always great to talk to about this stuff, and thank you for doing the stat sheet.
That's fine. It's the coalition one is actually up. It's been up for a couple of days now. The only major thing that's left on it is I've got about 140 offshores to add over the next few hours.
Oh my gosh!
This game really needs a proper fucking banking system, because this this offshore volume is mental for this war.
Yeah,
if I may, Frawley, I think Alex, when he was on George's show, brought up a good point that I think everyone should get behind, is the fact banks shouldn't be lootable.
I absolutely agree, and I've suggested that multiple times in the game suggestions forum.
By the way, note, guys.
Why?
Huh?
Why should banks not be lootable?
Because they're effectively not lootable right now, so long as you have the slightest inkling of competence.
Well,
sure, but I mean that disqualifies like half of the people on Coalition B's side, right? So that means we're getting sweet. So fucking
excludes a few on your side too. And it doesn't really matter because next war, everyone's going to be storing their money with Pacific Financial. So, everyone's
Lord.
money will be safe as is.
It's funny. Charlie just casually.
We have a zero robbery rate so far.
Nice. I picked you guys up for some good loot. What was it? During AC, I think I got like 100 mil or something. It's nice. I guess I caught you guys like during a transfer or something.
Dang.
It's nice.
Yeah, it has. I think it has happened on small scales before, but we also kind of not luck out. We have the additional benefit of every single one of our nations is built exactly the same, and there's 150 of them. So even if you do loot the bank, you tend to only take a minute percentage of it. If you do manage to catch a decent balance in our main bank, which is rare because we keep it all in an offshore.
Right.
These days.
Oh, so not so fun fact, Rose. Like we went from being like 7 bill positive to being like 1 bill positive. Sorry, I'll stop talking about the stats. But that is, I guess, like I agree with you guys. Like the offshores are annoying as a motherfucker. But I wanted to note officially, the Commonwealth is no longer the worst performing alliance in this war. Polaris passed them. Polaris has beiged me a couple of times, even though I have 29 cities. And that big beige that I was talking about, even though the guy didn't have like a blockade, like he wasn't blockaded, I still got like 70 million from a beige. That guy was also in Polaris. So congrats to the Commonwealth. Congrats
for sucking less than Polaris. Congrats.
Yeah. To be fair, like with their tier, like I mean, nobody could do well as outnumbered as the Commonwealth is at the upper tier.
Sure.
I think some of the flack Sphinx takes is a little overdone.
Frawley, are the stat sheets up to date?
Yeah.
Okay, because a couple of days ago,
the offshores aren't.
Oh, okay, that's most probably where
the offshores
are gone.
The offshores are about 2 weeks behind because I've been, as most people who listen to any of the radio shows that I've been on, I've started a new job not long ago, and time has been a bit of a precious commodity the last month.
I'll be honest with you, Frawley, I think you need to put PNW at the top of your list. I think you ought to get your priorities straight, sir. This is very important stuff.
This dude just spent 1,500 euros on a new server for the stats website. I think maybe PNW is
and how wasted are those $1,500 if you can't do it all in a Pacific time frame?
yeah.
And the average salary in Australia is like $500 a year, and so like that's a big investment.
Right.
Where do you live, Mr. Booty? What sort of rock have you found yourself under?
I'm from Texas originally, so I guess.
Well, at least I'm not paid the average amount of Australians paid, according to you.
You're not.
Thank God, Frawley, because otherwise you wouldn't be eating for the next 3 months with that server.
Yeah. Well, 3 years apparently.
You're just like kangaroo or whatever. Or what is it?
Whilst we're just having a joke and a laugh, I would like to point out that for Yahuza's first war, I don't think we did too bad. We had a lot of teething in problems, but yeah, it's turning out all right in the end.
That's cool. Yeah,
that's good. It's been a wild ride for Soup as well. I mean, we've been at war for 60% of our existence, 70%. Something crazy. Like, so we started off 2 weeks in fighting FARC and WTF. You can say whatever you want about that. I mean, it wasn't like this scale by any means. And then 2-3 weeks later, boom, there's Surf's Up, and then without even stopping, we go into dial up. So it's been interesting.
I think you need to turn your soup down. It's starting to boil, Charlie.
It's too hot, man.
I don't think so. Speaking of which, so I'm gonna stop recording now. We can obviously continue to talk. This show will be on at the same time, same day next week. But I do want to play the soup is not hot.
Yeah, and then give us like a proper sign off at the end. Thanks for listening. Yada yada.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is that how I sound to you? Here, let me find my song real quick. Also, I showed it to somebody in real life, and they liked it actually.
Oh, nice.
For playing PNW. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm going to play that. Thank you guys all for watching. Same booty time, same booty channel. I agree. Food Fiji God. Hammer's like, excuse me. It's also raining outside, which does not happen here a whole lot. I'm in Oregon, so yeah. Hope you guys are ready because Charlie's about to be re-executed. Yeah. This song is called "The Soup Is Not Hot." Charlie, your career's done. Thank you guys for watching, listening. Snum Records. Mr. Booty. Yup. Traveler's mother is a thought. Yup. You're a cheater who uses a bot. Yup. If you attack me, you will get caught. Okay, yup. I am always on top. I didn't even have a drink to make this rap. Look at mama's booty, I'ma make you clap. You wrote a couple rhymes so they was whack. I'm a rapper, secret agent, men in black. Yup, I do it. Wine, slang, bang, don't strew it. My raps are a potion, and now it's time to brew it. Bullshit babbler, husker, haggler. You should know your career is mine. My rap's so good, my rap's sublime. I can wank and spank in any place. Compared to me, you is a disgrace. Murder investigators say this is a sad case. You're like dubstep without any bass. Yup. Jake, you ain't Adele. Don't fuck with me, boy. I'll ring your bell. You always get struck out, and it's easy to tell. My jump shots are wet, just like a well. The only talent you have is the ability to fail. When the police put you in jail, I won't pay your bail. Oh, hey, Kev, I haven't forgotten about you. You're probably listening to this as you poo. We'll put the shit on the toilet, man, not on the air. Opinion so bad that I pull out my hair. Just kidding. I like your thoughts. Please respond to my messages, though. I'm getting distraught. Anyway, let's get back to the dissing. My rap's so fire, my rap's hissing. Y'all's hype has gone missing. I am sick of this pissing. I'm gonna destroy another player now. Get ready. Kickoffs. Oh, I thought you were my bro. Then you deleted me on Facebook and didn't come on my show. That's why I'm including you in this diss track, how? You're the Aussie version of Republican. Your alliance history is a trash bin. If we go to war, you will not win. Your plans have no oxygen. Now let's get back to Charlie, who does nothing like Barley. At least Barley makes beer. Charlie makes me shed a tear. His songs are so bad, I'm yelling, oh dear. His songs inspire fear, but not cause he's scary. He misses every shot. Unlike Rick Barry, you're from Georgia. My mama drives a Porsche. Your mama drives a Ford. You make your friends bored. Yup. That's about all I have. No, of course, man. No, I don't fuck with that. If there's a best rapper crown, I am wearing the hat. Y'all fake rappers fly away like you was a bat. Mr. Booty out. Don't you dare talk smack.